So I've been using this for about 2 weeks, which is the ROG Xbox Ally X, which is a mouthful if you ask me. The first thing you need to know, this is not the first generation of this type of console. The very first one that came out was actually called ASUS ROG Ally, which is a lot easier than the ASUS ROG Xbox Ally X. Damn, is that a mouthful. It is so hard to memorize that. And also it's pretty confusing because there's another version, which is the non-Ally X. And we'll have a full video about that console separate from this one. So make sure you subscribe if you don't want to miss that. But what is this? Is this actually a handheld? Can you call this a gaming console? I believe you can't. I actually believe this is in the middle, where you don't have a gaming laptop because the laptop is a lot bigger, has a mouse and keyboard integrated into it, and this is actually a little bit more portable than what a laptop is, but not as portable as what you would find on a gaming console like maybe a Nintendo Switch, because it does come with a couple of caveats. But before those caveats, I want to tell you what I actually like about it. I like the way it feels. The ergonomics are pretty comfortable. It looks heavy and big, but actually using it day to day, it's pretty comfortable. Also, the quality of the buttons is very good. The triggers on the rear, which are typical from Xbox, actually work great. The touch sensitivity on the screen is also very good. It has up to 120 Hz of refresh rate, which is pretty good for some games. The new integration of the Xbox launcher they have on this is also pretty good. It's a lot easier to use than previous generations, but it's not perfect. And that's when this starts to be complicated to recommend for most people. First of all, the controls cannot be separated from the console. So if you ever break a joystick, break a button, you're gonna have to send this to be repaired. You can't repair it yourself, and you can't buy an additional controller just to switch it on and put it right back on, like something you might do with a Joy-Con from the Nintendo Switch. It's also not a seamless experience. When you have a Nintendo Switch, when you have even a PSP or a Game Boy, the experience is pretty straightforward. You put the game in, you start playing, and it goes all the way. But this has different types of limitations. Let me tell you what I mean by that. First of all, you need to research whether the games are completely optimized for this type of console. Because even though it is a Windows PC, it does have some type of limitation towards some games because of the form factor. Even some games like Warzone tell you right away the type of PC you're using might be limited or may not have the best experience or even may not work whatsoever. Second of all, if you find some bugs, if you find some crashes, you might be having to update the system consistently, whether it is the Xbox launcher, whether it is the ASUS launcher, or whether it is Windows itself. So you have 3 points you have to consistently be checking. And if you're somebody that's never been a PC gamer, this is going to be completely different for you, and it's also going to be pretty hard because you don't understand it right away. It requires research, it requires knowledge, and it also requires experience being a PC gamer. So it's not that straightforward from what you would find on a regular portable gaming console. That's why I'm saying this is not a laptop, it's not a gaming console, it's right in the middle. It tries to look like a gaming console, but has some of the same issues that a laptop has, but it's not as powerful as you would find on a desktop PC or even a home console. And I hope you don't get me the wrong way. I do like it, I do believe it, it's pretty impressive that something this size can actually now run AAA games, but it still doesn't give you the full experience. It does have graphical limitations. Obviously, it can't push as much pixels as you would have on a gaming console or on a PC, as I've been mentioning all this video. So that's where it breaks for me, especially for the price. If you already have a new generation console in your house, well, you probably have the full-blown AAA game experience, which is actually now a good place to be in 2025. Most games run great, and I actually have no memory of any AAA game having issues, especially graphical issues, on the new generation of consoles. But if you don't have one and you're actually going back and forth whether you have to buy this or maybe a PS5 or an Xbox, I do have to tell you that you need to consider certain factors. And one of those factors is that you're not going to get the same experience. You can't put physical games into something like this. You're limited only by the storage. You do have to have connection to a Wi-Fi network if you want to download games, and you actually don't have the speed of an Ethernet cable unless you connect it through the Thunderbolt port, which is on the top, which is a nice plus. You can do it, but it breaks the full purpose of this being portable. And that's where I think this is not that portable, because you may take it somewhere and get a couple of hours, like maybe 3 hours of playing, But if you want the best performance or the best experience, they recommend you have this plugged into the wall. And why would I have a portable console plugged into the wall where I can get a better experience with a gaming console sitting way back on my couch with a wireless controller? Maybe you can play relatively less demanding games. And yes, you can definitely do that. But the issue with that is, again, the price. Pay $1,000 just to have mid-tier games and just play in some scenarios, have some of them not even be fully compatible, when you can purchase something like a Nintendo Switch and everything's just going to work there. I'm not defending the Nintendo Switch. There are some games that aren't even that good. I also believe the library is not that big. The launching price was too expensive for me, but this is even way more expensive and actually has more limitations in my opinion. And right now it's the perfect example because I'm about to leave for a trip. I'm going to Brazil and I really don't know which one of these two to take. But at the end of the day, let's pretend I'm not going to put them in a case. You got the form factor from the ASUS and you have the form factor from the Nintendo Switch 2. So even if I didn't have a case, well, it would be a lot easier just to be able to take these off, put them in a separate compartment inside my backpack, and just put this where a laptop would go, or maybe even next to a laptop, and it's a lot easier to store. On the other side, this thing, well, it's just clunky, and you really need a case because these things are way too exposed, and as I mentioned previously on this video, if these get damaged, busted, or whatever, well, you're practically screwed because you gotta repair them. You really can't replace them yourself. So at the end of the day, this is way more portable. Even though this has way better performance than this, I'm gonna end up taking the Nintendo Switch. Which actually takes me to my point again, where the ROG is not that portable. And as a bonus tip, if you're thinking about buying a Nintendo Switch 2, maybe think about a Nintendo Switch first generation with the OLED screen. That has a better battery life and is actually more portable and is not a bad deal still in 2025. I'm thinking about actually picking one up. So I know there are a lot of reviews out there which are just going to tell you the performance, how many frames per second you can get on most games, how much battery life, but I wanted to give you exactly the experience of what this console is. And what it is just a gaming device. It's not a portable console, it's not a gaming PC, and it's right in the middle. So that's why I think this is not for everybody, and it actually depends completely up to you. But after everything I just told you, would you still purchase this for $1,000? You know what? I actually changed my mind. I'm gonna go for the PS Vita. I absolutely love this thing. If you have the opportunity of picking one up maybe in Facebook Marketplace or something like that, do it. You can modify it and get a lot of games in here. And the form factor, well, beats the hell out of this. And this actually has an OLED screen. Something that not even the Nintendo Switch 2 has, or even the ROG Ally. So yeah, PS Vita all the way. Also, if the video was useful for you, make sure you drop a like, a comment, or whatever. It always helps us out quite a bit. And maybe check out this video over here, which I think you might like as well.